Good morning or good afternoon. Another story for you this week. Even though we're already out of March, we're going to continue with some of our outstanding women for Women's History Month. And our storyteller today is just as awesome as the person that we're going to be learning about today. Her name is Elizabeth Ratzlaff. She is the youngest of 7 daughters and grew up in the Finger Lakes region of New York State. She received a bachelor's in biology from Adams State College and a master's in food science and human nutrition from Colorado State University. Elizabeth and her family moved to Las Vegas in 1999. She worked for the San Miguel County Maternal and Child Health Council and later for New Mexico Highlands University, where she coordinated the Achieving in Research, Mathematics, and Science, ADMAS, Center. She works as a reading specialist with the Reading Quest program and coordinates the Imagination Library of San Miguel County. She serves as treasurer for the Las Vegas, New Mexico Community Foundation. And Elizabeth is also the mother of 3 wonderful sons, Adam, Ben, and Jacob, all graduates from Robertson High School. She is an amazing lady, an amazing volunteer in our community, for volunteering for everything. And so I'm so privileged to have her read a story today about another very famous woman named Kamala Harris. And I'm not even going to say who she is because you should know. But the book is about her, and it's called Kamala Harris, Rooted in Justice, by Nikki Grimes and illustrated by Laura Freeman. So this is the story of how Senator Kamala Harris grew from her roots in justice to become the inspiring figure she is today. It is a beautiful example for young girls and boys everywhere that the American dream can belong to all of us if we stand up for justice for one another. I always told my students at Robertson to always stand up for what is right, even if standing alone. And I think that Kamala Harris is a true believer of this same thing. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce you now to Elizabeth Ratzloff, who is going to read a great story for you today. Elizabeth?
Thank you so much, Mrs. Griego, for that nice introduction. I am really excited to be here reading about Kamala Harris. I'm reading Kamala Harris, Rooted in Justice, and I'm really inspired by the strength of Vice President Harris's leadership. So here's our story about Kamala Harris. Life is a story you write day by day. Kamala's begins with her name that means lotus flower. But you don't see the flower's roots. Her roots grow deep, deep down. Let me tell you about it. Kamala's family line was a strong black and brown braid coiling from India, where her mother, Shyamala, was born, to Jamaica, where her father, Donald, was born, to Berkeley, California, where her parents fell in love and married, to Oakland, where Kamala was born. It was a good beginning. Right away, Kamala was like clay her parents molded for action. When her mother wasn't hunting cures for cancer and her father wasn't teaching, they both marched for civil rights and went to lectures by Dr. Martin Luther King. Kamala was right there too, bouncing along in her stroller, hearing words like peace and justice. Kamala's baby sister was born when Kamala was 2. In no time, the sisters were having faraway adventures together, like visiting their grandparents in Zambia. Her grandfather, P.V. Gopalan, was a senior diplomat there. He had once fought for India's independence. His wife, Rajam, Kamala's grandmother, fought for the rights of women. Little by little on these visits, Kamala and Maya learned that fighting for justice ran in their family. Like other black and brown children in Oakland, Kamala was part of a program to integrate the schools. Every day she rode a yellow bus bumping through familiar streets all the way to the wealthy white part of town with sprawling hillsides painted with gardens. Thousand Oaks Elementary was a world away, but Kamala didn't mind. There she got to meet kids who were rich and poor, black and white, kids who celebrated holidays she'd never even heard of. There, teachers taught her to count to 10 in many different languages. One spring day, Kamala and Maya marched in front of their apartment building waving picket signs because kids weren't allowed to play soccer on the front lawn. It wasn't fair, and Kamala cared a lot about fairness. The building manager read Kamala and Maya's signs and changed the rules. Kamala's parents had nursed her on stories of the civil rights movement and its heroes. Kamala couldn't wait to follow in the footsteps of her hero, Thurgood Marshall. And Marshall had attended Howard University, so Kamala decided she would too. On her first day at Howard, Kamala turned this way and that, smiling at the faces of students from America, Africa, the Caribbean. They reminded her of home and the people she wanted to help, the people she wanted to fight for. The university would begin to teach her how. Howard seemed like a perfect place for her very first campaign. It was for class representative of the Liberal Arts Student Council. Her competition was tough, but so was Kamala. Every day between classes, she passed out flyers in the campus yard and told any students who'd listen why they should vote for her. When the last ballot was counted, Kamala came out the winner. Kamala's time at Howard was focused on the future. She competed on the debate team to sharpen her speaking skills. She interned at the Federal Trade Commission. She did research at the National Archives, all to study the workings of government. And on weekends, she joined fellow students on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., to protest apartheid in South Africa. Kamala was preparing to be a woman warrior. Nothing matched the magic of her second summer break when Kamala stepped through the doors of the private Senate subway as an intern for Senator Alan Cranston. Kamala could barely hold in the secret of her joy. What could be better than learning from someone whose footsteps echoed in the halls of power every day? After Howard, Kamala returned to California to study at Hastings College of the Law. Graduating law school meant there was one more exam to take, the California bar. Without passing it, Kamala could not practice law. She didn't pass, which taught something Kamala had never known before: failure. It is the toughest teacher, but it can also be the best because it makes you dig down deep and try harder. On the second try, Kamala passed. Kamala was finally ready to climb the mountain of her dreams. First, Deputy District Attorney. Next, first female District Attorney of San Francisco. Then the first Black woman Attorney General of California. Peak by peak, she rose, eventually becoming the second Black woman voted into the U.S. Senate. Lawyer, prosecutor, senator, the little girl named Lotus Flower had turned herself into a person who others could call on for help. As a senator, Kamala fought for laws to help workers earn more money. She joined the Women's March on Washington for Equality and Civil Rights and telephoned lawyers to help immigrant children who came to America looking for someplace safe to live. Each time she answered a call for help, Kamala proved her family's legacy of public service was alive and well in her. Kamala had traveled far, but she hadn't finished climbing the mountain of her dreams. On Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, on the TV show Good Morning America, Kamala told the world, "I'm running for President of the United States." She immediately got goosebumps, wondering if Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman to run for president, was smiling down from heaven that very moment. Months into the race, Kamala realized that running for president cost more money than she thought, and Kamala's campaign team didn't have enough. She decided to give up her run for the 2020 presidential nomination. Sad to leave the race, Kamala looked forward to all the good work she could still do as Senator Harris. Then, to America's good fortune, Senator Joe Biden selected Kamala as his running mate, and she is now the Vice President of the United States. So thank you for listening, and I hope that you all think about how Kamala overcame some of the difficulties, even not passing the bar the first time, to work hard and to keep trying to fight for justice and follow her dreams.